Ladies and gentlemen, Great Britain is back. Have you ever heard the saying, the more you oppress the people, the more you kindle the fire of resistance? Well, we'll fly it bloody well wherever we like. That's in response to the local councils removing the Union flag. I mean, what else did they expect from lions? The lion has awakened. Let's get this started.
Let's speak to Aman Bogle, founding chairman of Global Britain UK. Good afternoon to you, Aman.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Nice to see you again as well. I mean, this has turned into you're a British Indian and you love the flag. So the idea that this is sort of carved up down ethnic lines is a nonsense, right?
Absolutely. I think it's, in fact, what we've seen in Tower Hamlets is a real indictment of multiculturalism, which has been foisted on this country under the Blairite orthodoxy of the last 3 decades. I mean, let's be honest, Ian. I mean, for me, as an immigrant, who made Britain his home, for me and millions like me,
yes,
the Union flag has always served as, a ground root of integration as British. It's the flag which unites us all, acting as a declaration of our love and affinity for Britain. A gesture of respect for our civilizational inheritance. A real nod in awe of the freedoms afforded to us by Britain. What I would say, Ian, our glorious Union flag tells a civilizational story of who we are as a great nation, what we value, freedom, liberty, and democracy. We are a force for good and a beacon of hope. I would say for most British people, the red, white and blue is a profoundly potent declaration of why we are proud of Britain and what our identity is. And I think that's exactly why it's so disgraceful when local councils tear down Union flags and the Cross of St. George, put up proudly by local people. Yeah. And I think it's clearly proof, if any was needed, of the caustic failures of state-sponsored multiculturalism when a flag of Free Palestine or Free Kashmir can fly for 6 months and longer.
Yep.
I think it's about time that we got rid of this whole confused identity of this wishy-washy nation without borders, a home for everyone but a home of no one.
Sure.
I think it's about time that we look, it's our flag and we'll fly it bloody well where we like it.
This guy's head, his head sits very well on his neck. Absolutely.
100%. And the thing is, what's interesting about this conversation, Aman, is it's not even controversial, right? It's a flag. It's a flag of a country. Loads of countries, as our previous guest said, do it really well. Outside government buildings, you will always find those flags. Outside local council offices, you will always find those flags. There seems to be almost an effort by some to either disguise it at best or at worst just get rid of it.
Well, indeed. I mean, look, you land at JFK, New York, you'll be greeted by the Stars and Stripes. I was with a team in Delhi last year for their general elections, and the first thing you see when you enter Delhi airport is a 100-foot high tricolor, Indian tricolor, soaring high in the sky. It unites 1 billion Indians, and the same should be true for our Union flag. It unites us as a nation. It tells the story of who we are and where we want to go. But you know what, Ian, I think when Britain sees local mayors raising foreign flags to celebrate foreign independence days at British town halls.
Yes.
We see hostile crowds of unintegrated 3rd or 4th generation immigrants.
Oh. Please say it, brother. Say it, my brother.
And our own assortment of, homegrown, Hamas-loving, Pakistan-friendly, these Marxist mugwumps, more at home flying sectarian Free Palestine or Free Kashmir flags than treating the Union flag as some sort of foreign hostile. I think that then the nation really wants to know, what on earth are you doing here in Britain?
It's a very weird situation, isn't it? And of course, local councils who are so scared that they're going to be accused of an ism or something like that. We've seen this with lots of stories of protocol and things you're not meant to say, and people you can't even refer to a husband and wife now who've got married in case you offend someone in Greenwich, apparently, like anyone cares. But nonetheless, that's the sort of time they have on their hands. These are the very people whose parochial thinking takes us to this very place. Oh, we better get rid of the flag. We might offend someone.
Indeed, Ian. I think the truth is, Ian, I think most people in this country have had enough of this 3 decades of the what I call the Blairite orthodoxy, where patriotism has been besmirched as a dirty word. Nation first patriots have been maligned by the legacy media and the metropolitan liberal establishment elite as far right.
Far right,
I mean, let's be
yes.
honest. And let's also not forget, Ian, I think far too many legacy politicos for far too long have turned out to be border polishing, Janus-faced plastic patriots who use our national flag as a mere prop. And I think, look, if we are to protect our great civilizational inheritance, conserve Britain as Britain, I think the flag has a very central role to play in that. And I think it's about time where we stop in its track, this mad self-immolations of the very foundations of our national unity, and that the Union flag. And it's about time, I would say. Look, the bottom line is, this great red, white, and blue, Ian. I think let's not let any jumped up left while our town hall busybody tear down our flag in our own country. Look, this is my flag. This is your flag. This is our flag.
Yeah.
We should be proud to fly it and be a patriot.
It's a fabulously powerful but very simple point. Aman, thank you as ever for your time. Really lovely to have you on again. Aman Bogle, he's the founding chairman of Global Britain UK, speaks as a British Indian. And that's his view. That's about as patriotic as you could get.
Wow. This was amazing.
What is happening as well in the issue of patriotism? Emma in Barnsley, who's a southerner up north, she says, how has it got to this where we take down our flag in preference to others?
How?
We are British. We should be proud of it and able to fly our flag as long as we like. We've lost our boys and people are using the flag as our voice because people are frightened to speak. I really think an important point is, what about the king? What does he think about the flag being taken down?
The king, the defender of the faith.
For others. If the Queen was alive today, do you really think this would be happening? The whole thing is extreme. I cannot believe I'm even texting this. A lot of people sharing that. Emma, thank you very much indeed for that. Of course, Keir Starmer, we are told, backs the flag, both being flown, and the spirit of them. The Union flag and the St George's flag are the ones in question here. Yet,
I'm shocked at Keir Starmer. Nah, something just does not feel right about Keir Starmer acting this way.
Sharing that. Emma, thank you very much indeed for that. Of course, Keir Starmer, we are told, backs the flag, both being flown, and the spirit of them. The Union flag and the St George's flag are the ones in question here. Yet councils like Tower Hamlets and in Birmingham, removing them under flimsy sort of safety excuses seems to be the standard response now. Tower Hamlets, led by disgraced Mayor Lutfur Rahman, allowed Palestinian flags to stay, although he did take them down last year. Okay. While we now know that the St George's flags have got to come down. So what is the deal here? In a moment we'll speak to Aman Bogle, founding chairman of Global Britain UK. First, Malcolm Farrow, president of the Flag Institute. Good afternoon to you, Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
Many people will not even be familiar with the mighty Flag Institute, which is a crime in itself.
It is. They all ought to be familiar. They all ought to join the Flag Institute. That would be even better.
Indeed. I mean, flags, there's a lot of history to flags, obviously. They do mean something, and invariably, particularly, I think, in this country, the flags, both the collective Union Jack, the Union flag, as well as each country's own flag symbols are really quite beautiful things. I mean, they're quite nice to look at. Quite why anybody would be offended by them is a mystery.
It's a mystery to me as well, because flags are extremely important symbols of common purpose, of unity, of community cohesion, of a sense of oneness, and can appeal to people who are otherwise have little in common. Wherever you come from, whatever your background, whatever your race, religion, culture or creed, your national flag is something you can stand and hold hands with your neighbour beneath, and you're equal under the flag. And we should be proud to fly our flags to show our common purpose together.
Should they be, I mean, is there a flag protocol? Flags often live up a mast. We know that. They sometimes hang from a particular building. Sometimes they're waved at a jubilee or a coronation, that kind of stuff. Should we be mindful of where we put flags, or is it anything goes when it comes to a flag?
Well, up to a point, anything goes. But I mean, common sense and balance needs to be applied to all of this. And a flag
Common sense and balance needs to be applied to all of this. But there is a problem. We have a big problem. There is no more common sense. So when people use common sense, the majority that have no common sense will not understand and see it as offensive. So we need a course in schools. Yeah. In primary schools, we need a course titled or subject titled common sense.
Anything goes when it comes to a flag.
Well, up to a point, anything goes. But I mean, common sense and balance needs to be applied to all of this. And a flag needs to be treated with respect and dignity because it reflects and represents the entire nation. So it deserves great respect. If your listeners look on the Flag Institute website, there are guides there as to how best to fly your flag, where to fly it, how to treat it, which order the flag should go in. All that sort of thing is covered on the Flag Institute website.
Yeah.
So there are protocols, and they are there.
So the protocols are there. There's a frustration, I think, for some people putting up flags. It's not just about, wanting a flag up there. It's sort of making a wider point about British identity.
Yes. The fact is that in the past, we were not a very flaggy nation, because in the distant past, we were an homogenous nation. People grew up in the same village and lived there all their lives and never went anywhere and didn't know anyone who didn't look like them or speak like them. But at that time, we exported our flags all over the world. These were the days of the British Empire. That's long gone now. And then it's now become the Commonwealth. And since the Second World War, we have become an extremely diverse nation. So now we do actually need to fly flags to show that we are a united common population with ideas in common.
Thank you.
We didn't need to do that in the past, but we do need to do it now. And the example of people who do that so very well are Canada, Australia, and the United States, to name just three. And because they started with diverse populations and had to bring them together to a sense of a common national identity. And now we need to do a bit of that ourselves. So I think the councils in question here in these arguments should use a little bit of consideration and take a nuanced approach to this and work with the communities they represent, because they do represent these communities, work with them to work out how best to address the obvious wish to fly these flags. Sometimes they're flown from lampposts and things like that. Well, I'm not going to sit here and suggest people break the law, obviously, but there's nothing wrong really with flying a flag from a lamppost.
Not really.
There is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with it. But still, still we're not lawbreakers, okay? We still want to obey the law. But if the law is questionable, is dodgy, then I believe we can protest the law for Parliament, to have a debate about it.
They're flown from lampposts and things like that. Well, I'm not going to sit here and suggest people break the law, obviously, but there's nothing wrong really with flying a flag from a lamppost.
Not really. I mean, there's greater offences. I think there are
greater offences, and the council could work with the local communities to ensure that this happens properly, because it looks good, it looks great. People can go out in the morning and say, "Hey, we're all together under these flags. We can all hold hands and move ahead together in unity."
You see, this is what a flag does. You see the flag, you know you're together under the flag. Under God, under one nation, under one flag. It brings you together. This is a country I came to for a better life. But if someone looks at the flag and sees oppression, sees division, then it goes on to shed more light about them. It sheds more light about their attitudes to the nation, about their perception to the nation. You see what I mean? It exposes them for who they truly are.
Hold hands and move ahead together in unity.
100%. Malcolm, it's been great having you on. Thank you, sir. We will speak again. Malcolm Farrow, president of the Flag Institute. Shouldn't every town hall, just by default, have the country flags outside? You could have the Union flag, you can have the St George's flag in England's case, and you can have the flag or the symbol of your town or county. That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Sure. So Kent County Council, for example, would have a Union Jack or Union flag. They'd have the St George's flag, then they'd have the Invicta flag, which is the white horse, which is kind of the Kent symbol, and that would be replicated across the country. That would help solve something.
The clue is in the name, Union flag. And also the Union flag represents the Commonwealth. So, talking about diversity, you find diversity in that flag. And the flag is multicolored. So, what is wrong with the flag? I'm telling you, what is wrong with the flag? You see, who ended slavery? When the pirates were going to trade slaves, what emblem did they see that scared them? The Union Jack. The Union Jack. Anyway, this was the Britain that people got attracted to. People came here for the better life. This was the Britain that we know, all right, growing up as kids and wanted to come to. And when we got here, we found a Britain that was different from what we know, all right, from what we knew. But now it looks like it's being restored. When the people fear the government, there's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty.